Hello there, audience. So welcome to this session. I hope you all got a good seat right there. So here's Wooclap, and I'm going to talk about active pedagogies, and more in particular, the effects of AI on student engagement. My name is Annelies, and I'm here with you together with our Wooclap team. You see one over there. And we're here for the full 3 days, so do not hesitate to come to our booth afterwards. And before we start, please get out your smartphones, because I'd like to know where you're from. So you can scan this QR code. I'll give you a bit time, and you'll see on the below right, we have 2 people connected already, 3. So you can make that go up and engage with our session. And basically, I want to know where you're joining us from for this MoodleMoot Global event here in Edinburgh. And somebody already got the emojis there, so that's good. Can we get that up to 70 maybe? Let's see. Nearly there. Awesome. Okay. So, let's see. We have a little bit of lag here. Yes, there we have it. We have Denmark in the building. Of course, Edinburgh. Lovely. So this is a word cloud that you're seeing. And I love the international sphere here. Hey, France. Netherlands, Sweden. Chile. Lovely. It's still moving around. Please come in, take your seat. Switzerland, New Zealand even, Malta, Lisbon, Quebec. Lovely. You can see I'm going to close this voting and look at that nice word cloud. I see we got our clients from Ferrara. Hi. Good, and just so you know, we're joining from Brussels, Belgium, to this global moot. And let's take a look at what we're going to dive in today, because we'll have active pedagogies, learn you about Wooclap, of course, making sure that you grasp the notions of student engagement and the use of AI, and then looking into how Wooclap integrates with Moodle as well. And lastly, we'd like for you to go home with some interesting ideas. So let's get started and deep dive into active pedagogy first. And myself personally, I can still very well remember my time in front of a classroom filled with master students pursuing their degree in business, and I was a guest speaker. And I was hosting a session on entrepreneurship, and the students applied to the program, so I was assuming they were super excited to get onboarded and dive into it. So I prepared my slides neatly. I had my perfect content ready for them, and I was sure that I would be able to spark discussion. But instead, all I got was silence, just silence, no hands raised, no eye contact, and no engagement with the topic at all. So I was thinking maybe they're tired, maybe they just don't care, but this moment really stayed with me. And not only because it was super uncomfortable, but also because it was revealing at the same time. And basically, the students, they weren't disengaged, they were just cautious. And they didn't yet feel safe or connected, and they didn't know if their voice really mattered. So basically, the silence wasn't a resistance, it was basically a signal. And this is what I want to talk to you about, how to go ahead and design real-time learning environments in such a way that it's really effective and engaging for our learners, and also grounded in cognitive science, and of course, integrated in Moodle. And please take your phones out again, because in one word, what do you think that makes a live session engaging for learners? I'm going to put the grid live, so please reconnect on your phones. I can show you the QR code again if you like. So we see participation, interaction. You can change it to the word cloud as well. Interactivity, enthusiasm, yes. relevance. Indeed. Debate. Interesting. But the interaction is really standing out here. Let's close the voting. Thank you for this. All right. So I began to explore how we're learning. And basically, I discovered an easy-to-grasp metaphor by Steve Masson. And he's a professor at the Faculty of Education at the University of Quebec at Montreal. And he's saying learning is to be compared with a forest. The brain is not a blank slate, and rather a complex network of pathways of currently existing and future connections between neurons. So what happens when we learn is that new knowledge connects to our existing pathways. So to get that forest metaphor here, it's like walking through a clear trail instead of having to remove branches and weeds everywhere. So basically, if there are no connections, it's like we're trying to forge a new path through thick underbrush, which is fairly slow and efficient. And this is where repetition and feedback will help to strengthen these pathways and making it easier to navigate over time. And in addition to Steve's theory, there's a powerful framework set by neuroscientist Stanislas Dejonckheere, professor at Collège de France, who talks about our 4 pillars of learning, which I would like to mention next. So these are the conditions, basically, for the brain to learn effectively. First is attention. This is where, of course, there's no learning without attention. It's our gateway into the learning process. Secondly, active engagement, and this is what we've seen in the word cloud. Not just presenting your slides, but really not let students passively listening to your course either. And thirdly, we have feedback, so the brain needs to try, be wrong, get feedback, and to adjust to make it right. So here, providing information in real time so that learners can go and improve themselves, which is only possible if you measure the level of understanding first, and very concretely, asking, is everything clear, will not do the trick. And consolidation is our 4th pillar here. So sleep, spaced repetition will help to get what we've learned into our long-term memory. And we really want to combat that forgetting curve here. So each of these 4 pillars play a vital role in learning. And back to you, dear audience. Another question I'd like to ask. According to you, which of these 4 pillars is the hardest to support in live teaching environments? We have one I'm not biasing you right now. So let's see if we can have some incoming results. Let's check. We have all of the pillars here, but we see that active engagement for now is winning. Let's take a look. Yes. Exactly. Let's get on the feedback side. Interesting. Yes, true. Nice to see. Let's check here on active engagement, differentiation. The most important one. You don't really want to learn. The right tools, exactly. Lovely. Going to close the voting here. And let's go further, because these principles are not just theory, they're also design principles. And they challenge us to build learning environments, but digitally or otherwise. They really work with the brain and not against it. So it really helps us to shift from thinking about teaching as a knowledge transmission, but rather thinking about teaching as navigating through the knowledge. And that's why tools like Wooclap are not just accessories, but seen as needed for teaching effectively in synchronous settings, because they help for each of these 4 pillars. And by asking students to answer questions, it really helps with attention, and it really promotes active engagement. And it allows as well the teachers to know if everything is understood or not, and give feedback accordingly, and repeat those key principles over time. Good. Let's take a look at Wooclap more in depth. As you've already noticed with you engaging with the session here, we're a student engagement tool that is based on neuroeducation. And as you notice, there's just 3 simple steps to use the tool. You create your questions manually. You can create them with the use of AI and transform your existing course material into questions. And your students scan the QR code, answer the question, anonymous or authenticated, and then you'll have the results appear live into your presentation. So Wooclap is basically co-created with the users to make it as easy to use as possible and to engage all learners and equip the teachers that are aware of the needed pedagogical best practices. We are basically used by many universities, companies, organizations without needing that advanced teaching experience or technical setup. So it really supports them in asking meaningful questions and adapt their approach in real time. So there are more than 20 types of different Wooclap questions available, and that makes it really suitable for all kinds of training formats, topics, disciplines, and just like Moodle, it is therefore relevant to deploy the tool across subjects and trainings. The AI features also enable question creators to gain time by generating questions in just a few seconds from the existing course material. And we also have additional AI features that are being deployed to boost that pedagogical performance. And this is where we're going to dive into more on that AI and active pedagogies in the next section. So how can AI bring the neuroeducation principles that we use to develop Wooclap to the next level? So we've been designing Wooclap AI's features to enhance active pedagogy and active learning. And let's see how we're going to check it on the 4 pillars of learning. Because of course, active engagement, it starts with attention, and attention is captured with the right questions asked at the right time. So AI tools can be used to initiate dynamic learning scenarios. So for example, they can generate thought-provoking questions when an educator is preparing the lessons, or create simulations that really encourage the students to move beyond the passive listening and actively participate in the learning process. And a good question isn't always enough. Nudging the class to start a conversation, it can be a real hurdle. So at Wooclap, what we created is a Woo agent that just does that, generating the first answers to a brainstorming question. And as we know, most of the time, that first buy-in is the only thing that you really need to spark a conversation and make it flow. So this is where it's tough to get it from the silent student side, basically. So a word on those Woo agents, what are they actually? It is a pedagogical AI assistant that helps you throughout Wooclap. It enables more effective learning and or makes it easier to get started. And Wooclap's vision on AI is really that it's an assistant, which is here to remove friction and to remove those low-value tasks. The practice of spaced repetition, it will help to consolidate. It's about ensuring that what was learned really sticks, so building up that, upon that really existing knowledge. And all of this necessary to really ensure that effective learning. And we developed an AI agent that will generate follow-up multiple choice questions, for example, building up on a recently asked question. And this will give the students the spaced repetition they will need in order to reinforce their memory retention. And it will deepen, of course, the understanding of the topic. And then, of course, feedback, knowing how well knowledge is stuck in the student's brain is invaluable to both students and teachers. The follow-up multiple choice question, for example, or an open question asked by instructors during class, but also class conversations that give a good idea of where they stand in terms of course comprehension. And all of the time that is saved by the use of AI to remove those frictions we mentioned and handling those low-value tasks gives the instructor enough time and more space to give that personalized feedback to the students, which they really need. So we do go beyond the hype. Wooclap introduced 5 AI agents that actually help you teach and train better. They will, for example, label your images automatically, They will organize or group your students' answers and even generate follow-up questions based on the previous ones. But also, for example, suggesting new ideas for brainstorming sessions and synthesize answers instantly. I want to show you how that works. So we're going to focus here on the AI agent, which is generating answers on a brainstorming question. So let's launch the brainstorming here. And of course, you can contribute as well, so feel free. So what do you know about the following phenomena? We have the movement of planets, we have black holes, we have light. And you see that little text here. So I can generate with AI, I can generate an answer. And let's see what the output is. We have a first answer, so this will facilitate the silent student side to go ahead and give answers. We can do the same here. And yeah, lovely. And we can do the same in this category. But of course, I would be able to say, hey, let's create a new agent and respond to this question as Galileo, for example. Let's generate some ideas. It takes a little bit of time, but not too much. So this is where you'll see, you're hungry. Oh, I'm sorry for you. You can see that basically you can turn it into an agent that you want with your proper prompt. And if we'd like to summarize, you can generate a summary as well. So this will actually take all of the above answers without of the food and the hungry. So we can have an overview. All right, let's close this voting. Lovely. Thank you for your participation. And now we know what active pedagogies are and how Wooclap works and how AI enhances the neuroeducation principles that Wooclap is based on. But how do we ensure that Wooclap seamlessly blends into educators' everyday tools and is easily adopted? So let's have a look. We support a variety of use cases to engage learners, and the integrations really bring an extra value, a new layer of value, basically. We allow you to integrate with the questions into any format, be the live sessions, asynchronous follow-ups, and it integrates seamlessly, as you see, with your audio, your video conferencing tools, your LMS, your presentation media. And Moodle is really a backbone of many institutions and organizations. And when you want to engage learners with interactive questions beyond that Moodle scope, students often need to step out of the environment, and we don't want that. We don't want students to be toggling in between too much windows because it can fragment attention and reduce participation. So we wanted to make an interactivity part of the LMS environment without breaking that flow. So this is where the Wooclap activities are very useful, and it adds to your Moodle course, basically, and is fully embedded. And we're creating a bridge between synchronous interaction and the LMS environment. So thanks to LTI 1.3, your participation data, the results, the attendance can just flow immediately into the Moodle gradebook. Good. So for now, we have 450 institutions using Moodle that is also using Wooclap, and we're very appreciative of that. And to go further, we do have several studies existing on Wooclap, but I wanted to highlight one, an outcome from an experiment at Universidad Autónoma de Madrid in Spain. So in this case, Wooclap was used to boost attention and interest in a chemical engineering course to enhance knowledge and provide immediate feedback. And the results reported really increased motivation, a better understanding of the theoretical concepts, less fatigue, and better academic results. So the participation here increased by 90%, and 81% of the students reported their improvements in their academic performance and knowledge retention. All right, we're finishing up here our session. Some points that you can take home. This is where the role of AI is to reinforce active pedagogy. AI is a helper. It's an assistant that works on removing everyday frictions that prevent the educators from focusing on what really matters. And that is focusing on active pedagogy strategies, attention, active engagement, feedback, and consolidation. And as AI removes everyday frictions, educators have more time to focus on the meaningful connections in the classroom, nurture it, and thanks, of course, to the instant feedback of the students. And all of this possible into the Moodle environment. Thank you very much. This is me. Do not hesitate to contact us. And if you have any questions, I'm going to open the questions that you can go for on Wooclap. And otherwise, feel free to voice yourself through the mic.
Feel free to enter those questions into the Wooclap app, or if you have a question you'd like to ask, please raise your hand.
Is this on? Yep. No.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to ask, so we're trialing, company I work for is trialing some live class software, so we're things like Engagely and Class, and Teams as well. And we're just wondering how does this support all of those?
Different learning formats, like the live classes, the asynchronous classes, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
What does it support? I'm thinking, does it support other third-party software? So, for example, there's a company called Engagely, which has a classroom system which you can plug into Moodle. So I'm just wondering, can this be plugged into third-party systems as an add-on to their systems?
Yeah, definitely. So basically we have that LTI base, but you can use like the iframe code as well of the different questions to put in any other system that would work for you. You're welcome. Please feel free.
Hi. Thanks for that. Just wondering, does it also embed into your presentation software like PowerPoint, Keynote, and Google Slides?
Definitely.
And how many different ways can people vote or participate?
Yeah, very good question. So basically we're going to integrate in your presentation slides. You can have an add-in. So this is where you're going to grab the Wooclap add-in. So this is something that really goes very seamlessly. And you can actually go ahead with using your Wi-Fi, scanning the code, or you come in through your LMS, or you can use it with text message as well. And that is a local number that you'll use within any of the countries you are.
Hi, wonderful product. I came a little late, so I may have missed something, and I'm asking you a question. Your stack, your AI stack, is it Moodle's AI stack, or do you have your own AI stack that you use?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, do you have problems with tokens?
Problems with?
Tokens.
Tokens.
They cost something, right?
With the licensing, you mean?
I mean, the number of tokens, I think they cost something. And
basically, that's in your campus-wide license pricing.
Okay.
So don't you worry about that.
Okay.
Of course, we work with OpenAI. We have a trust center that is very clear on all that is needed to comply to our practices, security, etc. So feel free to come over that we can talk a little bit more about that security standpoint. And I think you'll be happy to see that we're...
No, I'm not so worried about the security part. What I really wanted to know is that Moodle has a stack, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what is there in it. I'm new to Moodle, right? Are you leveraging that to build your software, or are you building it on top of OpenAI?
It's basically on top of OpenAI. This is where we have our in-house developers.
And do you also deal with hallucinations? Is there a way you deal with it, or it passes through? Hallucinations.
I didn't understand your question.
Okay, so all LLMs have some degree of hallucination. You ask them a question, if they don't know it, they try to answer it, it can be wrong. In the education space, that could be an issue. So do you have a way of dampening them out or completely eliminating them in your back end?
So basically, we use it as assistance. So all of the outcome is to support active learning in that case. So I don't think we'll have problems with that. I hope it answers your question. Please feel free. Very welcome.
Okay, thank you. So I wanted to ask what's the difference, of course, AI agents, this is the main difference between this application and another like Mentimeter, Slide, etc. So I wanted to ask if there is something else, or maybe if could you elaborate a little bit more about different use cases of AI agents?
Oh, yes, of course. And when you mention Mentimeter, they're great at what they're doing, very. Where we really differentiate is like the integration part and the innovation and the co-creation that we're doing with many universities. So if we're going to check, and I'm going to come back on these questions here, you see that if we're going to add a new question, you can create using AI. And this is where I hope the Wi-Fi still works. But do not hesitate to come over to our booth if this is not working here. But you would be able to go ahead and create from different kind of sources. So be it your documents, it will help to generate questions so you don't have to do those low-value tasks anymore. And apart from that, the assistants will be able to help you again with those active learning parts. And we can go more in depth afterwards at our booth if you would like. All right? I'm sorry that this is not working.
Yeah, let's hear it up for
Thank you
Wooclap.
everyone.